Man, this is awesome.
Oh, Clark, hey. Good to see you among the living, man. Check it out. It's the latest talent mix.
Thanks, Pete.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you among the living. Welcome to the Talent Mix. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, the world's finest Smallville recap podcast, especially if you've never seen an episode of Smallville. I'm Brian, here as always with my pal Zach. What's up, man?
Not much. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's just us today, and we're not live. We are usually live, but today it's just us hanging out. You can head to.
We needed to give the week off after the 3 hour. give our loyal followers the week off from having to sit here and watch this.
That's it. You can go to talentmix.show and find the Discord channel. And that's how you can keep up with when we are live at twitch.tv/Goblin Voice. I guess we can get into things. Zach, have you how's your week been? Have you watched anything good?
I watched a little gem called we never did the Rise of Skywalker.
Start the fucking timer. There's no chat here to yell at us. We can talk about Star Wars for as long as we fucking want.
Yeah, there's no one watching. No, we don't have to get too far into it. I watched Rise of Skywalker. It's not good.
It's not good.
It is fascinatingly not good, though.
I agree.
Like an autopsy, like what happened here? Where did this go wrong? I think you and I chatted a little bit about it. I think you're probably right on the money in that no one is happy with it. I think probably
no one can be. No one has seen that. It's not a movie.
No. No, I think you're right. I think J.J. Abrams is even probably like, I mean, you know, he got paid fucking bank for that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure he's perfectly happy to shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they fired Trevorrow, and they were like, I think they offered it to other people, and then they're like, JJ, babe, here's a lot of money.
Come in, get this done, get this to our date.
Yes, because we have toys coming out.
That's the thing of like the movie's a mess. It's just objectively a mess. I don't think anybody liked it. But the thing is with a movie, especially with a big, gigantic movie like this, is you can't stop. You can't be like, okay, whoa, we're having issues here. Let's start from scratch here. Let's dump all of this. Let's give us another year. And then video games, they do it all the time of like, all the time there will be a press conference and a bunch of men in business suits will come out and just go, it's not done.
Right.
But a movie there's no infrastructure for that to happen because the Star Wars cereal boxes are ready, the toys are ready, the tie-in apps are ready. Yeah.
The Pepsi tie-in.
It's gotta come out that fucking day.
I mean, that makes sense. That's why when they fired the director of Solo like a few months before it was supposed to come out.
Yep.
I mean, and they still made that date. That's insane.
Yep.
I mean, because they threw a lot of fucking money at it, but
that was Lord Miller,
right?
Which I am to this day, Kira, wish we could see what that movie was. And you and I are both on the page of Solo's good. Solo's one of the good ones.
Yes, agreed.
I don't think it's a great movie, but I think it's one of the better ones Disney has put out.
Yeah, I think it's the best one Disney's put out, but I really like Solo, but I still want to see the Lord Miller one.
I think betting against them has never worked. I think.
Right, and also, what were they so afraid of that they saw?
It's my understanding of it, which is very rude. They were actually more displeased with their a director really is like a middle manager as well, of like they need to kind of manage a set, and this was much bigger than what they were used to, and they're like, we'll get there on the day and we'll figure it out, which works
Yeah.
on 21 Jump Street, I think, much to that movie's benefit. Got Disney very nervous of like, we're going to spend how long just riffing? What?
Right, yeah. Well, they were riffing a lot, improvising, and then they were the people, whatever, Kathleen Kennedy and Lawrence Kasdan were like, you got to shoot what we write.
Right.
So they kept riffing, but they also shot what was on the page. Yeah, that's so fascinating. Gosh, that's one of the ones where it's like, I want to be on this, a fly on the wall on that production. And
a million. It's, and
like,
of course,
one day there will be a book, right, Brian? There's got to be someday.
there's gotta be I mean, it's what we got. It's ultimately a lost Star Wars movie, right? Like what we got was not the movie they were working on, surely.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
the
Rogue One
perfectly
too.
adequate adventure film, the pretty good adventure film we got was not what Lord and Miller would have made.
No. And like, we live in a world where I think we could have both of those now, and it would be fine.
I agree.
You know, we have multiple cuts of so many classic movies, and they can both exist. It's okay. Give us more Solo.
How did we get a fucking Zack Snyder cut of Justice League? We got two bad cuts of Justice League. Why can't we spend a bunch of money and get two pretty good cuts?
Because Zack Snyder invested in bots or something, right? Didn't he? Fucking
Right.
Lord Miller need to get on it.
I got so swept up in that, like the conversation on the internet, and I just wanted to play two, which led to fucking me watching. I had gone from watching 0 Justice Leagues to 2 Justice Leagues, and I didn't like either of them.
No, they're both bad in different ways.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, like you watch the Snyder cut, and you're like, oh, I see why they wanted to bring in someone successful and chop this up and reshoot it. Right. And then you see the product and you're like, well, that didn't work either. But
so there are fucking people out there who say the Snyder cut is good. Not even like crazy people or robots. Like, there are people who are like, no, it was pretty good. If you had been trapped in a theater for 4 fucking hours watching that movie, you would not be charitable towards it.
No, of course not. Honestly, if you were like, hey, you can watch the Snyder cut or you can watch the Whedon version, I'm watching the Whedon version.
It'll be done in 90 minutes,
Brian?
baby.
Exactly. It's an hour and a half, and I'm out. Also, there are, what are those things called? Jokes in the Whedon version? Like, you don't necessarily need jokes in your superhero movie. We've had Batman movies with very few jokes. But they have to be good if you're not going to have jokes. Like, the drama has to work. I have to be invested in the characters. You can't just have no jokes and bland nothing for 4 hours.
Right.
Real quick, back to Rise of Skywalker. You said, does anyone like that movie? I think there are people who convinced themselves they liked it.
Sure.
Like people who hated Last Jedi so much that they were like, yeah.
Right.
Yes, this is better, even though they know, like,
right,
this isn't good either. You know, this is not.
Now, here's a question. Will there be a sort of, because add in people who've kind of convinced themselves, and I'm sure there are 7 to 12-year-olds perfectly happy with it because there are lightsabers in it and shit, you know?
Of course.
Which more, hey, that is the exact thing that should be happening. I think I've told this story before, but I saw Cats and Rise of Skywalker on the same night because they both opened the same day. I'm in the theater seeing Cats, and there are behind us, there is a mom and 2 children seeing Cats. And I'm like, Star Wars is next door. I think this is actually child abuse. You can't bring 2 children to Cats when Star Wars is next door. I can hear the rumbles of Star Wars. These children must be dying.
That's great.
But my wife has a t-shirt that says the prequels were good. My wife was, and I was young. We were both young. I don't know why. We were younger when the prequels came out, and I think have a more positive spin on the prequels than people who were older fans, like our
Same.
age when
Yeah.
my wife has a more positive view of it. I'm a little more on the edge there, but
you know I'm pro Phantom Menace, baby.
I know you are. We are overdue for a
Yeah, I know.
But will kids who were 7 years old, maybe it was their first Star Wars movie, first time seeing a lightsaber, will there be any sort of redemption arc for Rise of Skywalker?
I don't know,
because really bad is the thing.
I like Clones a lot when it came out because it was a fun, the effect. There was so many effects and action scenes and all these Easter eggs and shit. And
Yoda fought a guy.
You only get one Star Wars movie every bunch of years, and the excitement takes over. And then now when I rewatch Clones, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is kind of a slog. So
Right.
I wonder if kids, they'll love it when they're kids, and then when they become adults, they'll be like, oh yeah, I see how this kind of falls apart into nothingness in the last hour. I don't know, but there are things to like about Rise of Skywalker. There's too many talented people involved for it to not be watchable. It's watchable.
It's that's the thing. It is that I'm stealing this from somebody I read on Letterboxd in talking about a different movie. But it's the kind of bad that's competently made enough where the only thing it's really doing is wasting my time.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and we talked about this over text. You knew it was bad from the moment they were like, Palpatine's coming back. You're like, okay, well, that's over.
Right.
And the last 20 minutes of the movie is them explaining shit. Like, I'm going to steal your powers. I don't know. It's so,
yeah, man. Rough stuff.
So aside from that, I watched a movie called Planet of the Vampires. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I have not seen it. I have heard you were telling me it is an inspiration for Alien.
They say, some people say it is. I think the Ridley Scott and the writer initially denied it, and then later the writer was like, yeah, I stole it from that movie. It's not close enough to where it's like any sort of plagiarism. It's just you can see elements they were like, oh, I like that. It's fun. The atmosphere is great. It's like a long Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
The dialogue, of course, is awful. Acting is questionable, but it's fun. I had fun with it.
Great title, Planet of the Vampires.
I was watching and I was like, I can't believe they haven't remade this yet.
I know. If something came out today called Planet of the Vampires, it'd be like day one.
For sure. If there was a movie about astronauts versus vampires, who's not seeing that movie, Brian?
I'm there day one, baby. Speaking of Alien and the writer of, I watched, his name's Dan O'Bannon. I watched recently, I've never seen it before, his directorial debut, which is Return of the Living Dead from 1985. I had never seen it before. I watched it kind of on a whim last night, and it is fucking delightful.
I watched that in middle school. I haven't seen it since, but I loved it back then.
Great movie for a middle schooler because it's a horror movie, quote unquote, but it's very funny. But it has a ton of like gross out effects and stuff. It's a very squishy, gross movie.
That's the one where spoiler alert. That's the one where at the end they call in a bombing, right?
Yes.
Yes. And there's I think there's a topless woman dancing over a grave or at some point.
Yep.
Great.
Great puppets, great gross out effects. Story, it's just Night of the Living Dead again, basically. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, the story goes, Night of the Living Dead was directed by George A. Romero. But there was this other guy, John Russo, who was involved in it, producer capacity, and they were all Philadelphia like TV guys. So Romero and Russo split after Night of the Living Dead. Russo retains the rights to the Living Dead moniker. So
that's why it's Dawn of the Dead, not Dawn of the Living Dead.
Yes. So Night of the Living Dead kind of unofficially branches off into 2 different sequels.
Oh my God, it's like religion. That's
Yes.
amazing.
It's exactly like religion.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to throw out there, I don't know, did you have like a zombie phase?
Oh yeah. Back
They
in
were,
middle
they were
school, yeah.
huge when like middle school, high school. It
I
was
remember
zombies
I
everywhere.
was so fucking excited when I knew 28 Days Later was coming out because it was the first zombie movie that had been released in theaters in my lifetime at that point.
Yeah, wow.
And I was just like fucking, at least when I was old enough to see them, and I was fucking amped. I was very disappointed by the movie. We can get that another time. But yes, I was all about Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead were my fucking jams, man. Back in middle school.
I was gonna say, I like Dawn of the I respect Dawn of the Dead more than I like it personally. It's not on like my list of like repeat watches. I'll watch it at any time. I respect it. Like I know why it's important and it's good and all that stuff. And I agree. I will throw down right now. I'm not even trying to be controversial. Return of the Living Dead is the superior Night of the Living Dead sequel.
No, absolutely not. Well, you know what? I can't say that because I haven't seen Return of the Living Dead since middle school.
Really good. I also just love fucking puppets, dude. And there's a lot of puppets in this fucking movie.
It's basically like, how do you like your tone with your zombie movie?
Right,
do you want,
right.
like, Dawn of the Dead has like apocalyptic dread that it does. And there's comedy in it, but it has that apocalyptic world is ending dread.
Right.
That really blew me away. And Return of the Living Dead, from what I remember, is like fun, silly.
It is an 80s adventure comedy that it's great. It's great.
Where
it's
are you
really,
at on
really
Day of
good.
the Dead?
What's that?
Where are you at on Day of the Dead?
Day of the Dead, I remember liking enough. I can't say I've seen the whole thing back to front in one sitting. It's something that I've watched on Sci-Fi Channel in pieces over the years.
Yeah.
There's a couple of great gore set pieces. Always had I never minded when it was on cable,
Right. I saw it for the first time.
I don't have a nuanced opinion.
I saw it for the first time during the pandemic, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it's like a couple of really, really great, terrible asshole characters in there.
Right.
And some questionable acting, but it was fun.
I guess just finishing out the Romero series, there's also Land of the Dead, and then Diary of the Dead. I remember quite liking Land of the Dead.
Land of the Dead, wasn't it City of the
It largely it is called Land of the Dead.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen Land of the Dead. That was, he made that. It was Dennis Hopper in like the 2000s, right?
Yes. I remember that being pretty good. I don't know if it holds up today, but when I saw it in high school or just post high school, I really liked it.
But he made one after that.
He did make one after that, and it is called Diary of the Dead. And it is
found footage.
It is the found footage one, and it is awful.
Yeah. I bet it is.
The guy had maybe lost it by that point.
I can't imagine making movies when you're that old is easy.
Right.
I mean, it's not easy at any age.
Right. That said, man, George Miller just threw out, what is it, 3,000 Years of Longing? Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, he's got quite the act to follow.
Right. And then last thing that I watched House of the Dragon, HBO's new Game of Thrones prequel. Were you a Game of Thrones guy?
Yeah, so I wasn't until right before the final season. I caught up just in time to be disappointed with everyone else.
You got it. Yeah.
But I enjoyed most of the show quite a bit. Even the last season, there's stuff to like. But I was waiting on House of the Dragon?
Yeah.
I was waiting to hear what you and other people I know think about it. I like you, I don't really fuck with TV a lot these days.
Right.
I really have to want to. So
I am a not quite Game of Thrones fan. I have dabbled in the show. I've seen episodes that I've liked, but I've fallen off more times. I've given it an earnest shot and fallen off several times. I really like the first book. Can't get through the second one. And kind of the show is kind of the same. So I'm coming into it a little different. So we watched House of the Dragon, and Emily and I were both kind of on the same page of like, arms crossed, not liking it. Like, this isn't good. But when the second episode comes out, I'm going to watch it. You know? I do kind of want to see what happens.
Okay, good enough to keep watching.
It's at the moment, you know, we're on a week-to-week lease at the moment.
Yeah.
For my attention.
That used to be my, like, back when all the shows premiered at the same time, basically like in the back to school time, like September. Right. That was always I'm going to give these 5 new shows a shot week to week. Right. But I'm ready to drop off in any fucking second.
Just if you bore me for a second, I'm probably gone.
Yeah. Yep. I'll give you a shot.
Right.
And then we're moving on.
You know, you're for right now, we don't have anything better to watch while we eat lunch together on Mondays. So until something better comes along. So we'll see. I will say, I think it's interesting. The creators of it, who are not the 2 guys who everyone hates now because they ruined the show, right? Game of Thrones. They are not involved in House of the Dragon. I
love the idea of 2 guys, like the 2 guys everyone hates because they ruined the show are also the 2 guys that brought them the show.
I know, right? It's but it is funny of like, so whoever's in charge of it now, we're saying like, hey, we're not going as hard on the gratuitous sex and violence. We're gonna really calm down on the gratuitous sex and violence, which I'm gonna throw out there based on the first episode. No, you have not.
That's what I heard. Yeah, I heard it was all fucking.
A guy gets his fucking dick cut off in the first like 10 minutes. But also, you're a gratuitous blood and boobs show. Just be what you are. Right,
exactly. I thought that was
that is what the show is.
That's the draw. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just own it. Just be what you are.
It's like when they made the PG-13 Die Hard movie. It's like, what are we doing?
Right. So I don't know. I guess we'll see where we land on that. If it's anything like any other TV show I've ever watched, my wife gets frustrated because I'm like, nah, I'm good. You can keep going. But I'll tell you a TV show that does not happen with, and it's Smallville.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, does Emily know her episode is not next week, but the week after?
I did drop that on her. And
what was the reaction, Brian?
I'm going to do my best to recreate the noise of, oh.
I mean, that's exactly what I was hoping for.
It's a good episode, though. She's gonna like it. I say now, even just setting myself up for disappointment when she's like, "No, this is as bad as anything else."
I mean, she won't like it probably, but you and I, we've watched all the other Smallvilles, so we know by comparison,
right,
a good episode when we see one.
But this episode we watched was Hereafter. It's the 12th episode in the 3rd season of Smallville, the 56th episode overall, and it aired February 4th, 2004. I know that, of course, because I'm reading directly from the Smallville wiki. Pull it up, read along for yourselves. Okay. On one of his first days of class at Smallville High, Jordan Cross is running with the cross-country track team. Gotta say, we got a needle drop immediately.
Yes, that's my first note. What one to start off with too.
This is 100 Years by Five for Fighting. Five for Fighting had what was that?
Sorry, you broke up for a minute. It might have been me, but
okay.
Yeah. So Five for Fighting, the 100 Years song. You only got 100 years to live. That song.
It's I would say they had the one where they say Superman in it.
Yes,
we get that one done. And then this one, I don't think they had many more. I think we had some hot singles from one album, right?
I can't think of any other ones.
Right.
Also, 100 years is a long fucking time.
That's a little more. That's a little higher than average, I think.
Yeah.
I was also interested of like, this is ambitious the right. It is a more complicated shot than we normally get in a Smallville episode.
Absolutely,
Smallville's a WB show. It's shot for efficiency. Number one goal is make the fucking day. It's not a David Fincher. We're not going to keep doing it till Clark gets the fucking take right. It's you said the lines correctly. We are moving on.
It's a Clint Eastwood. Yeah, like one take Clint. Like, that was good. It's in the can. Let's go.
I had heard, I forget what fucking director they were talking about and what act. I know nothing about this story except it was a newer actor talking to a very famous director, and they were like, "Hey, can we just do that one more time?" And the director just being like, "You think you need another one?" Okay, guess not. No, we can go. That might have been a Smallville thing. I don't. Fuck.
Maybe.
Anyway,
It sounds like Clint Eastwood.
right. So Lana and Pete are also on the team. They end the run on the football field where Jordan glances at a pretty cheerleader, Megan Calder.
How many intramurals is Lana involved with?
I know, too many. It's like fucking Hermione Granger with the time turner shit.
She runs a business. She is literally running a coffee shop / movie theater and rents out the top floor to someone. She is busy.
What's your secret, Lana? How are you doing all these things, Lana?
Yeah, she has a serious drug habit. Like, she's like a trucker popping pills to stay up.
Lana approaches Coach Altman. She tentatively asks the coach if there's anything that she can do, but he seems extremely depressed and just replies that no one can do anything. Lana approaches Jordan and compliments him on his running skills. She impulsively grabs his hand, and Jordan is suddenly shocked into a vision. He sees Lana as an old woman dying peacefully in her bed.
She doesn't impulsively grab his hand. Sorry, that's not right, Wiki.
Right.
He's reaching for water and she grazes his hand.
Right.
And I don't want to... This is like borderline victim blaming, but the reason Lana has so many stalkers is because she's so nice to all the loners. She's way too nice to all the loners.
She does, and it's very nice of her.
Yes,
but,
of course, yeah.
But, yeah, a couple of them are going to be weird. Sometimes the weird social pariah is a weird social pariah.
Yeah, sometimes there's something deeper going on there.
So he sees Lana as an old woman dying peacefully in her bed. She is wearing her neutralized kryptonite necklace accompanied by an old man. Jordan is unnerved and leaves abruptly. So Coach Altman approaches him and puts a hand on his shoulder, asking him when he's going to join the team. So is he not on the team?
Wait, so he doesn't have the uniform, but I figured that was because he was new.
Right. I honestly didn't think that hard about it. I thought it just made him stand out amongst the runners.
He's jogging. Are they at school? Yeah, they are at school.
With that dewy, temperate Kansas morning. And exiting the fucking rainforest.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I guess, yeah, Jordan has another vision. Coach Altman is standing in front of an oncoming car being hit head on. Upset, Jordan runs away from the field. That's pretty intense for a WB teen soap. That's intense.
Mm-hmm. Not as intense as the miscarriage.
No. No, it is not. In front of the school, Clark catches up with Jordan and introduces himself as his mentor to show him around school. Jordan doesn't shake his hand and covers by saying that he has been homeschooled until now and is just trying to get used to all the people. Clark waits to check in with his dad. Jordan's dad knows that he has had visions and says he thinks it's a mistake for Jordan to be in regular school. But then Jordan sees Mr. Altman crossing the street. He is horrified to see his vision begin to play out, but Clark notices Jordan's reaction. He sees the oncoming car and super speeds to push Mr. Altman out of the way.
Fucking Clark just cost us a car crash.
Yeah. Clark!
What a wild way to kill yourself.
Yeah, that's...
Like, it's not even a bus. You could survive that, bro.
You could not survive
You could
that. It's
easily
gonna hurt.
survive and
It's
then
gonna
not
hurt.
be happy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And no one saw him super speed. There are hundreds of people around. There's literally a kid in the shot in the background watching as he super speeds. Not buying it.
There's an old SNL sketch where The Rock is playing Clark Kent / Superman, and the joke is everyone at the Daily Planet knows he's Superman, and it's like he's not passing it off. What if the high school everyone does in fact just know he has these powers?
I mean, that would make way more sense.
Yeah. So Mr. Altman dissolves into tears, saying he just wanted to be with his little girl. Clark and Jordan are both stunned. Lana and Megan arrive at the hospital to visit Coach Altman. Lana explains to Clark that she, Megan, and his daughter Julia were all best friends in junior high school when they cheered together. Julia was junior high school. So we got a middle school athletic program? I guess the Pop Warner had like
Lana really goes through the best friends.
Yes.
Because she had a best friend, Tina Greer. Tina Greer was a best friend.
Right. Dead.
That little girl who drowned and
dead.
Came back as a ghost, dead. These other two people, we're just going through them. It's not. It doesn't pay to be Lana's best friend. I'm just going to tell you
Lana,
right now.
What's your deal?
Yeah, maybe you're the problem. Your parents died. All your best friends die.
Yeah, actually, Lana, maybe it's not safe around you.
At first, you can go, well, maybe it's a coincidence. It's probably not your fault. But after the third or fourth best friend,
I don't know. Now I'm starting to wonder. Julia was severely injured when a car hit her. She had no chance for recovery, but Mr. Altman hoped for a miracle and only took her off life support last month. Lana leaves to visit with Mr. Altman. He is unconscious, and Megan is crying at his bedside. She laments that she and Julia were fighting the night of the accident, and she blames herself. Lana tries to comfort her, noting that she didn't go after her either. Lana leads Megan away, and Coach Altman awakens as they leave. Jordan is navigating the crowded halls of high school, trying not to touch anyone when Clark grabs his shoulder. Instead of a horrifying image of death, he sees a fluttering red cape and a tranquil, endless expanse of space and stars.
Well, the cape has the Superman logo on it, doesn't it?
It does have the Superman logo on it, which
is weird because Superman's cape doesn't have the logo on it.
It does sometimes.
Oh, does it? Okay, my bad.
It's it's not my favorite visual design choice, and I'm in fact disappointed that Clark at some point.
That image got me thinking about Superman in space, and I have some questions for you.
Yes.
How come he can breathe in space?
He does not need to breathe, I believe.
Okay. Okay. So if Superman leaves our solar system, he's no longer super, right?
I guess not.
The red sun is where he gets his power from. Or the yellow sun, sorry.
Yeah, I guess he has Superman has had plenty of space adventures through the years, you know? That said, in Superman the I'm not a Superman expert. But in Superman the animated series, he does have a space suit that he wears.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
He's got like kind of a super space suit.
Okay. Great. That's all I need.
But that's like the whole thing in Superman Returns, the Bryan Singer movie.
Right.
Where like he
goes to Krypton.
Right. So like he can, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe he had a suit though. We don't ever see him on the planet, do we?
That's true.
Yeah.
Also, the wiki here, I read ahead. The wiki says that this shot here of the cape is the same from the intro of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. And I curiously, I looked it up just to see if that was the case. It's not. It's super not.
No, there's no way they would use that same shot from 20 years ago.
No, there's also a cape there's also a bad digital cape in that intro, but it's not the same.
They're not that cheap.
Right. I also think that was a CBS production.
In Smallville, eventually when we start doing more Metropolis stuff, they use the same establishing shot from Batman Begins.
Oh, baby.
The Narrows like 20 times. It's great. They're just lifting shots from Batman Begins because they have the rights. Whatever. But
we can't get back. So we can get the Narrows.
Yeah, we can't get Batman, but we can get the Narrows in there.
Right. That's a great establishing shot too. I always like it. So I guess I'm going to see it a lot.
Yeah. Yep. You got a couple years.
So, however, he is still skittish and admits he doesn't like being touched. The students file past him, and so Clark touches what's his name? Jordan. Touches Jordan. He has a vision. Oh, I don't like being touched. And then like 3 students bump into it. It's like, God damn.
Yeah. Keep your hands to yourself, people.
Right? Jordan winces and touches his head. Clark recognizes the gesture and asks if Jordan knew what Coach Altman was going to do. Jordan just excuses himself and goes outside to get some air.
Well, he also, I think it's in this scene where it might be the next scene actually, but Clark is basically talking to Jordan, and Jordan's like talking about how his dad doesn't want him to go to school. Right. And Clark says, tell him that Smallville High is rarely that exciting. Bro.
A man tried to kill himself, Clark.
Last week, there was an axe fight. Dozens of people have died on campus in the past 2 years.
Does the principal quad administration mean nothing to you?
Literally 1 week after 2 students fought with an axe, he's like, tell your dad that this guy trying to kill himself was an outlier. Shit like that doesn't normally happen here. Oh, it does.
It super does. Now, do you think that Smallville is week to week in real time? Or have there been some weeks where crazy shit happened in the same week?
Probably.
Like,
you probably have to do that to make it work.
At least one time, Clark stayed up late fighting a bad guy, then wakes up and a new fucking thing. Like, you gotta know. Come on.
Yeah. My favorite is like later, you'll have like recurring characters die and it'll be tragic. In the next episode, no one's talking about it.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah. It's 1 week later and no one gives a fuck.
Remember when Clark's like surrogate little brother died?
Yep.
Be not mentioned again.
No, everything was just fine.
I'd sure hate to be his best friend who moves to Florida.
Speaking of which, Pete gets multiple lines in this episode. Wow. He gets a whole scene.
At the expense of Lionel Luthor, who was not in this episode at all.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so Lana is closing up the Talon when she hears Adam shouting upstairs. Adam is, of course, this new boy with a mystery. She enters the apartment to see him thrashing violently in the throes of a nightmare. He kicks her in the stomach before he wakes up sweating and panting. Lana is concerned, but Adam doesn't want to talk about it. Later, Lana meets with Lex, who says neighbors reported Adam shouting. He also has a list of invoices for repairs to the apartment. Lana says she didn't tell him because she didn't want him to jump to conclusions, and Adam has been a big help at the coffee shop. Lex cautions that Lana doesn't know much about him.
So this conversation between Lex and Lana happens at the mansion. Lex literally summons Lana to the mansion for a phone conversation. Yeah. I want to be powerful enough to summon people. It's like, you come to me, we're going to talk for 40 seconds, and right. Then you leave.
Just go. Yeah. That is the dream status, I think.
Can you imagine the headline? Billionaire summons 16-year-old to mansion.
It's bad. It's as bad as marries her. But it is funny, just the implications of like television, of like, no, obviously you want them in the same room, like,
right? Of course, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the implications of those like things you have to do to make that happen are hysterical. The next day at school, Clark is waiting for Pete and Chloe at the Torch office. They arrive eager to tell him something about Adam Knight, but Clark declares himself an Adam-free zone, saying he and Lana are friends again, and he doesn't want to mess it up by coming between her and Adam. He redirects the conversation to Jordan Cross and says he thinks Jordan has had a premonition about Coach Altman's actions. Pete has noticed Jordan's fear of human contact, but suggests that maybe he has a heightened sense of intuition. Chloe, on the other hand, thinks the story is worth looking into. Clark is pleased that Chloe wants to investigate with him again.
It looks like they're trying to like reignite the Chloe Clark thing a little in that scene. That's what it felt like.
Right. We are going to play with that storyline a little more, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're getting everything kind of back to status quo, and then like turning some more. I feel like the storylines on Smallville are a constant series of dials.
Yes.
And,
yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
We kept Chloe Clark and Lana drama. We bumped that one down like a little bit, but it's still on like medium low.
Yeah, we're
simmer, right? The Chloe tension that's been on simmer or that's been forgotten about a little. How we should kick that one back up.
Yeah, absolutely. Turn Lionel off.
Yeah, why did we turn Lionel? No, you never turn Lionel off.
I know.
Lionel shouldn't have a knob. That should have just a lever, and it just dumps it.
Yeah.
Or rather, Lionel's like salt. Just put it on everything, baby. Just
exactly.
Get it in all the time.
Yeah,
just all the time.
He's the spice.
So, the next day at school, Chloe enters an empty classroom and sees Adam injecting something into his arm.
It's blue. Whatever it is, it's blue. This dude, first of all, he doesn't go to the high school, does he? Why is he in the high school shooting up?
I believe he does go to the high school based on one line Lana says later. Though it might have just been that he was here. I don't know.
We'll have to come back to that. But he's shooting himself up with bleach like he's trying to cure COVID.
Remember that scene in Terminator 2? I hate that scene. I hate that scene.
Yeah.
The syringe to the neck with the fucking pipe cleaner.
But she doesn't do it. She just threatens.
I wince every time.
What a way to go.
What a way to go. That would hurt, man.
But I don't understand why this dude is shooting up at school. I still don't get it. But
it doesn't. Well, where
he lives alone in an apartment. He's got to be 18, right? Isn't that how that works?
I guess. It's once again just the things we have to do to make, like, Chloe's got to see him do it so we can move the story along.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? Yeah. No.
He's there to pick up Lana. He figures this is where I'll shoot up. And then he's like, I'll leave this blue syringe in
with
the
a secret with secrets. A secret syringe.
Yes, this is whatever this is experimental technology he's working with. He's just going to drop it in the trash can of the computer lab at Smallville High.
So Chloe meets Clark at the Torch office and almost tells him what she saw, but stops herself. Clark shows her an article he found in the Smallville Ledger database. When Jordan was 6, he foresaw a woman dying on a roller coaster. They learn that Jordan's mother died the day he was born, the day before the day of the meteor shower.
You know what's funny is that story about him freaking out in the roller coaster and then someone dies. That was like, I was like, oh, that's kind of like the original Final Destination. And then I was like, wait. This whole fucking plot is the Final Destination.
It's a Final Destination episode. Jesus Christ. I watched a couple of those recently, and I kind of thought they were, I hadn't like seen them. I kind of hoped they were going to be more fun than they are.
I've only ever seen the first one in theaters, and I was like,
wow.
I'm good.
I think we did talk about this. Of the 3 that I watched, 3 is the best. Just a who's who of Canadian teen actors.
Yes.
And it has like the biggest, dumbest set pieces.
Perfect.
But not that good. Do you think so everyone gets their powers obviously from the meteor shower, or a lot of people do. Do you think anyone just has like a mundane power, like they can get popcorn right in the microwave every single time?
They can turn their hands into cup holders.
Somebody has like the most mundane power, and I want to find out what it is.
Also, it's utterly absurd that all these friends of Clark's who know something is up with him don't just assume like, oh, he's got a meteor power, like all these.
Right. right.
I'll be like, Clark, we know.
Right.
Like, you would be wrong, but it's not far off.
It's not far off enough. He just happens to be one of the meteors.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I've never quite understood why you couldn't just get away with that. Unless I guess there was an element of like, we'll have it get out there, everyone will start talking about it, and then inevitably you want to be studied.
Right. But with his close friends, I don't know.
We have learned that it is difficult. Pete's gonna move to Florida. It's so difficult, you see.
Has nothing to do with his character and the writing.
Of course not. What? No, that's not how TV shows work. Their investigation is interrupted when they hear a commotion on the schoolyard and arrive to see Jordan confronting Megan. They are both upset. Jordan is insisting that Megan allow him to walk her home, and Megan is screaming for him to leave her alone. Clark tries to calm Jordan down. Near tears, Jordan explains that Megan is going to die, but runs away.
He doesn't just explain it, he shouts it.
Yeah.
That kid is for sure going to the principal's office.
Bare minimum.
At any other high school, that kid is in trouble.
Yep.
You can't scream, she's going to die.
Nope.
At someone.
One time I got sent to the principal's office on a my senior year on a math test. I just drew stick figures like shooting each other.
You told this story last week on our podcast.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yes, and it was fun. We made a lot of jokes about it. But yeah, Brian, that's obviously you're a disturbed person.
Obviously.
So after this scene, Clark walks with Jordan to what's-her-face's house. Do you think it's excruciating for Clark to walk at normal people speed?
It has to be. I'm generally like a fast walker. I look, man, I take my strides. I got to get where I'm going to go. Let's walk. My wife, meanwhile, takes fucking little baby steps. And it is fucking excruciating.
I hate it. Even if I'm not in a hurry, I don't like walking slow.
It's just my normal walking pace.
Right. Yeah, I have long legs. I don't want to walk slow. And poor Clark, he can get everywhere he wants to go in instant. And he has to like move at a snail's pace compared. Poor guy.
That once again goes into like my true Superman question of like, is it quote unquote powers that like he can like turn it on? Or does he need to constantly be slow? I kind of like the idea that Superman has to constantly be like consciously acting like a human would. I think it's a more Superman-y thing.
I mean, I don't want to get way too far ahead, but in the future, when he's considering losing his virginity, he is concerned about the physiology of what will happen.
Right.
And that he won't be able to control the speed with which certain things happen.
Remember Mallrats?
Yes.
You can't come with shoot a shotgun blast through her back.
Right, and that is actually an actual plot point for a while in the show.
So Clark follows Jordan and offers to help. He says he knows about the roller coaster and believes in Jordan's visions. Jordan finally admits that when he touched Megan, he saw her dying in a fire. Clark suggests they try warning her again. As they walk to Megan's house together, Jordan describes his visions. He and his father have never been able to prevent one from coming true before Clark saved Coach Altman. He tells Clark that his visions of him was like he didn't have an ending. They arrive at Megan's house to find Sheriff Adams. Riff, I want to start with that. It is there is a funny question that's kind of never really been covered. Of like, can Superman like die?
Right.
Or will he? I believe Mark Millar wanted to do like a Superman film trilogy and like do like the epic like scope of Superman and have it end with just Superman, the last man on Earth, as like the sun consumes the planet.
That would have been depressing.
Kind of rules.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what this implies, right?
Right. So they arrive at Megan's house to find Sheriff Adams.
Well, when the sun eventually goes away, that's when he would be done.
Right.
He gets his
there you
powers
go.
from
Yeah.
the sun.
Yeah, there you go.
So he only has to live for that long.
Which can't be that long.
No.
She reports that Megan's car was discovered abandoned and questions Jordan about his fight with Megan that day. Jordan's dad comes to get him and tells him to wait in the car. Clark pleads with Mr. Cross to give Jordan another chance at school, but Mr. Cross says that Jordan should come home so he can protect him. They realize that Jordan has run off again. I keep getting mixed up in my head of Jordan is the name of one of Superman's two sons on Superman and Lois, a show that I am still watching and like, and it's throwing me off.
So this kid who just left school where he screamed at a girl that she was going to die, walks to that girl's house where police are investigating because that girl has disappeared. Is there any way that kid doesn't leave in handcuffs from that interaction?
Only in Smallville.
Right, yeah, the Smallville Police Department. Not firing on all cylinders.
No. Chloe goes to the Talon to tell Lana about the syringe. First, making sure Adam is not around. Adam is at the mansion, skillfully playing a difficult piece of music. Adam is at the mansion. Why was Adam at the mansion?
Lex summons him.
Got it.
Basically, he summons him to shake him down. Like, that's a dick move. If you're going to shake someone down, at least save them the trip. You know, like, go to them.
Right.
Be like, hey, come to my mansion. I'm going to intimidate and bully you for 30 seconds and then leave you.
Lex is impressed, but Adam shrugs off his compliments. Lex asks him about his behavior and reveals that he has been investigating his past. Lex talks with his teachers, who seem to have rehearsed their answers, and he promises to keep digging. Lana is doing some research at the Torch and asks Adam to meet her there. She tries to ask him about the needle, but he is defensive and avoids all of her questions. He stalks away and runs right into Jordan. Jordan is affected by what he saw, and then Lana finds him. He admits that he is hiding from his father. Lana reaches out to comfort him, and Jordan sees another vision. Lana is dying in a fire. Dun, dun, dun.
So just a quick note. Adam shows up at the school, and it's like, he's like, oh, I got your message or something. That's a frequent thing in Smallville where someone leaves a message for someone to meet them somewhere.
Via what? No one has
the voicemail. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I don't think that was a thing because you weren't gonna like assume they got the message. The chances that they got it would be low.
No.
Like,
how insane was it though? Of like back in the day that the children who listen to this will not remember, of like, you could make a plan with somebody like, hey, we're going to meet at this place. And then you had to do that.
Yes.
Like you just had to do that. As simple as that sounds, there was No option, because that person was gonna be there. You couldn't be like, hey, I'm running, or even like I'm running late.
No. Yeah, there was no way. I must have been my junior year in high school, and me and a bunch of friends were going to see Too Fast, Too Furious in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we had decided to switch times at the last minute. And one of my friends didn't get the message.
Oh, no.
So he was at the theater alone.
Oh, no.
And we ended up at his house where his father forced us against our will to watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in his basement with him, which we hadn't seen before. So we're like, we should probably get going. He's like, no, just a few more minutes. We literally watched the entire movie with him. Well, his son is at the theater watching Too Fast, Too Furious.
Your boyfriend. My brother, who's been on the show, his very first date ever in high school, he goes, they were gonna go to a movie. The movie was Cinderella Man, I believe. But so my brother gets dropped off at the movie theater, and she never shows up, which is heartbreaking. Just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
What he doesn't know is that across town, she's at the other movie theater, also believing she has been stood up. Thankfully, a couple of phone calls, parents arranged it, figured out what happened. The night was saved. But
the parents had to step in.
yeah.
Yes. That is a tale of true romance.
Right.
The parents stepped in.
Okay. So Lana is dying in a fire in Jordan's vision. She is surrounded by photos of flowers, toys, and a sign which reads Wandering Hills. She screams. Jordan seems surprised that the vision has changed. He tells Lana not to leave the school. Lana is confused, but as Jordan turns to go find Clark, a masked figure knocks Jordan to the floor, drugs Lana, and drags her away.
So he knocks out Jordan, punches him. That's a concussion.
That's a concussion.
Right? Concussion. And then chloroforms Lana. And I'm like, that's kind of fucked up. You could have just chloroformed him, too.
Yeah, you could have.
You just knock his ass out.
It is, but then you got to, like, redo the rag.
That's true, yeah. And every time someone's chloroformed in any kind of movie or TV, now I think of that Community episode. With
Which
the chloroform.
one? I don't remember.
Oh, man.
I've seen the whole show several times, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it's when they're trying to break into Jeff's old law firm, and Annie ends up chloroforming the janitor, and then their plan is to pretend that they all got chloroformed and they lay down.
Right. I vaguely remember this.
Oh, it's so funny. You should watch it.
Harmon just said this week the movie's definitely happening.
I know. I saw that, and I'm trying not to get too excited.
Right.
Because it's probably a few years off, but
definitely, almost definitely.
I'm optimistic.
I'm looking forward to it.
And we've never been disappointed before of something like that.
No.
Never once happened.
Harmon's really good, is the thing.
I know. If anything, it'll be interesting, It'll be good.
I think it'll be worth watching and talking about, bare minimum.
Do you think there's any chance at all that is a theatrical?
I would highly, highly, highly doubt it.
Yeah. I was like, maybe like 10 theaters.
I mean, I don't know about maybe. I would highly expect a Netflix release or something.
Yeah.
That said, Bob's Burgers fought its way out.
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers was going to go directly to Hulu, and then it fought its way back into theaters somehow.
But Predator didn't, or Prey.
Predator did not. Yeah, you're right. I did see that, and I agree with you. I think I liked it like a little more, but like also I was having a nice time watching it,
Right. No, I didn't have a bad time. The dog was really cool.
Right. I think the half star just you gave it like 2.5 on Letterboxd. I'd give it 3, but like
I was
pizza
hovering
and beer
over the
bought
3.
it some like
Right. I was hovering over the 3. I think if I saw it in theaters, it would have been 3.
Okay. Jordan tries to recount all he can remember from the vision. Clark shows him a photograph of Julia Altman, and Jordan confirms that he saw a photograph of her in the vision. He remembers a sign that indicates the neighborhood, and as Clark sets out to rescue the girls, Jordan insists on coming along. Jordan, you can't do anything, bud.
This is a big let's get home for dinner moment from the writers. Let's be home by dinner. Clark, who has super speed, and any other time that he's learned someone's in trouble in this show, he's like, oh, look over there. And then he's gone to go help them.
Right.
In this scene, Lana, the love of his life at this point, is supposedly at risk of burning alive.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't super speed. This kid's like, hey, I want to come. And Clark's like, yeah, okay. Let's drive over there together.
It's all the same.
That's like definitely a let's get home by dinner moment.
Yep.
From the writers. We need that kid to be there. So they're driving.
Just not. Hey, does it make sense? Yeah, no. Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. I don't see any. I don't see any problem.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
Mr. Altman has both girls tied up in a basement, along with a collection of photographs and memories of his daughter. He says that he heard Megan confessing in the hospital and now blames them for Julia's death and intends to set the basement on fire to avenge his daughter. He starts the fire just as Clark and Jordan arrive. Clark instructs Jordan to stay in the car and goes to rescue the girls. He gets Lana loose as Altman tries to pull him away. Clark pushes him away as Jordan arrives and frees Megan. Altman attacks Jordan, who is stunned by multiple touches. However, Jordan's vision corresponds with reality, indicating that he sees Altman's own death. After the girls are safe, Clark re-enters the basement to rescue Jordan, who is unconscious. He carries him out just as the house blows up and administers CPR to revive him.
Go ahead.
When he comes to, Jordan is surprised that he does not receive a vision from Clark's touch. Sorry, go ahead.
That is a pretty cool explosion. Pretty good effects-wise. It's also a huge explosion. Like multiple buildings go up.
Yeah.
Lana and that girl are dead or in the hospital if that explosion.
Right.
Like they ran away, but they didn't run far enough away to
there's
be.
There's going to be like a shockwave. That's going to bare minimum.
Yeah. Also, I understand why Clark doesn't burn when he's in the middle of an explosion, but his clothes would, right?
Right, which we've seen, right?
Yes, yeah, we have.
We've seen his clothes catch fire. Maybe Martha's knitting him or sewing him some flame retardant clothes.
Yes, some Kevlar flame retardant.
Right.
I'm not sure how the explosion cured that kid of his meteor powers.
Also unclear. Unless there were just normal rocks in the foundation of the basement there. And the normal rocks offset the kryptonite rocks.
Ooh, you know what? You're right.
I am right.
That makes total sense.
Time for dinner. Later, Lana visits Lex at the mansion and tells Lex about Adam's reaction to her questions. He tells Lana that Adam is a part of a clinical trial testing a new drug, but Lana still is unsure. Bleach. Lex advises her to trust her instincts. When she leaves, it is revealed that Lex is reading Adam's file in a computer database. I do think this is interesting. I was thinking about season 3 doesn't really have a villain, quote unquote, at least not so far.
It's Lionel, right? Lionel's
I guess so. I guess so. It was in eventually, like, they will get into, like, there is a villain who, like, they have a little thread every episode, and then there's kind of a face-off in this one is a little less that, even if it's Lionel, I guess.
Right. And I think you're right up to this point. The final run of episodes coming up is really heavy on the Lionel is the evil villain of the season.
Got it.
But yes, there's going forward, I think there will be a season-long arc for every season.
Right. The next day, Jordan tells Clark that right before he was going to die, he saw his mother, and when he was revived, the visions were gone. He is upbeat about. Is it because he had a near-death experience? He is upbeat about it and says he was destined to meet Clark to get rid of them. Lana arrives shortly afterward with Jordan's homework and explains that she's going to help him catch up in exchange for track training. And Clark says something to the effect of like, now you're getting the hang of this high school thing. Nyang, 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 nyang. What the fuck, Clark? What a... This is like the second or third time he's done that, of like people around Lana. He's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Huh? What do you think? Huh?
She needs help. I mean, she needs help with all the intramurals she's involved with. So,
Clark exits, and Jordan is suddenly withdrawn and quiet again. Lana asks him what's wrong, and Jordan reluctantly says that he saw something strange when he touched Adam. Lana mentions that Adam was seriously injured a while ago, but Jordan cryptically says that he thinks Adam actually died.
dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. That night at home, Clark is quiet, and Martha asks what's on his mind. He says he wonders what the consequences of his altering destiny will be if he makes the wrong choice and people die. Martha assures him that he has to concentrate on the lives he saves. She gives him a plate of cookies to take Jonathan in the barn.
Well, she says, look at Lex. He's been a really good friend.
Nietzsche line.
Yes, absolutely. He saved Lex, and Lex is going to be a terrible villain one day.
And then, go. Here's a plate of cookies. Go bring this plate of cookies to your father out in the barn. Hey, make sure some make it out there to him. And if there's anything we know in Smallville, if anything's going well.
Right. There's no reason for the show to keep going at this point unless something terrible is about to happen. Like everyone in the world watching this show knows something terrible is about to happen to Jonathan Kent.
Right. Clark arrives at the plate, but is horrified to see that Jonathan has collapsed. Clark tries to help him up as Jonathan is muttering, "Not yet," and "I love you, son," just before he passes out. Clark calls for his mother.
Right. Clark again forgets that he has super speed.
Could have just gone inside.
Him to the hospital.
Right.
Clark.
It's Smallville Medical. They will not ask questions.
Yeah. Might as well take him to like some shady vet at midnight in the middle of the night.
There are so many options here. But yeah, dude, scoop him up, bring him to the damn hospital.
Call out.
Bring him to what a Metropolis if you want.
Right. Call out for your mom.
He's still a scared boy, Zach.
Brian, when you first time you saw that, if you can remember, I don't remember, but was it like in your head, was there any way Johnny K is going to die at that point?
I don't think so because I was watching the DVDs.
Right.
It's
also,
a little like,
you know, it would be a bigger moment.
Right.
That couldn't be it.
Right. I wonder if week to week in that year it like could have been something just in the element of like that is a Jonathan Kent thing.
Right.
Of like that is almost a Nietzsche, like that is a thing that's gonna happen. Is this it?
Yeah.
Maybe week to week if I was a kid that could have. My mom and I'm not saying we were smart. I'm not saying everybody felt this way. There was a bit where during 24, season 2, Jack Bauer has to bring a bomb in a plane, and it's kind of set up like, I don't know how he's going to get out of this.
That was the advertisement. I remember that episode. It was all the advertisement was like, this is it.
And my mom and I ate it the fuck up. We were like, well, maybe he got like a good deal after, like maybe this propelled him back up because like it was a little bit like Kiefer Sutherland's kind of slumming it doing this TV show. Right. It's like he was in movies now. Now he's on Fox. And no, we ate it up. We were like, oh yeah, no, this has got to be it.
But so, no, Xander, what's his name? The boss, the bad boss was in the plane, right? Right.
God, that show is ridiculous. I can't wait till we start a 24 podcast. Have you seen 24 in a while?
No, well, I watched the first season and I watched the first half. I think that's about where I dropped off of the second season, and then I didn't watch it after that.
Oh,
so,
got it. Okay. I held on for like my mom and I started watching season 2 in the middle because there wasn't another option. It was just we heard this show was good. And we just watched it and just played catch up on this very quote unquote serialized. It's actually not that hard to.
No, this is back when they couldn't really still.
Right. It made sure you got the information you needed. But we caught an episode. We liked it because it was intense. It was good.
Mhm.
And then we went back and like we'd get a DVD from Blockbuster of the first season, and that was like they talk about the binge watching and like it's like drugs. It was like my dad was like, you guys are going. We would finish a DVD. And then it was like, well, it's still early. Let's go get it. And my dad was like, you can't do that.
Me and my buddy literally watched the season 1 of 24 in 24 hours.
Wow.
When it first came out on DVD. We got to do it, man.
What I think is hilarious so I watched it a couple of years ago. I watched the first season again, and I was having fun rewatching it. Hold up is a strong word, but I was enjoying rewatching it. So after 12 episodes, it hits this mid-season break. They wrap up a whole bunch of storylines, and then it comes back, and it's just the same. It's a new villain who does the same thing the old villain that they just took care of does.
Trying to kill the president.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got the same storyline there. Kim, the daughter, got away from her kidnapper and just gets kidnapped again. So it's all the same. It still goes to status quo.
Talk about a reset.
It's a full just reset. And it was so funny of like, at the time when I'm in 8th grade, that doesn't do anything to me. Like, that's just like, yep, television. Now I can only see the seams, you know? We had some music in this episode. 100 Years by Five for Fighting. That's where the music budget really went this week. I Owe You by Stigala Music. No idea. Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini. Some Italian word here that I am butchering. By Sergei Rachmaninoff.
That's the piano piece that Adam was
Got
playing in Lexus.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then Two Steps Closer by Static. I'm not familiar with the band Static or the song Two Steps Closer, but that sounds like it's from 2004.
Oh, shit, Brian. Before we go, I just remembered there's another movie I watched last week.
Oh, hell yeah.
The 2003 classic Daredevil starring Ben Affleck.
Oh, man.
Brian.
Oh, man.
Speaking of Smallville like needle drops, never has there been a more early 2000s movie than Daredevil. There is an Evanescence needle drop halfway through that movie.
Oh, right.
Oh, man. Let me tell you something. The effects in that movie were bad in 2003. And today, they are unwatchable.
I was in 8th grade, or I was in middle school when that movie came out. And my mom took my brother and I to go see it. And like, my brother and I were both like hot on Spider-Man. And I definitely knew it wasn't as good as Spider-Man. Like, it was definitely Spider-Man watered down, but I definitely liked it, you know. It had everything a 12-year-old boy wanted. But yeah, I'm willing to bet. I am curious.
You should watch it just for. I mean, it's so early 2000s. It's not terrible. I guess there's a director's cut that's like a half hour longer.
I can't imagine that fixes it that much.
And if I wondered if they take out the Evanescence, that would really hurt it.
Daredevil was the one I was able to use as an example. / it really helped illustrate for me in a way I could easily explain widescreen versus full screen, which was still a VHS was still kind of happening. We were on the tail end of VHSs, and DVDs still sometimes had a full screen option. If you're a little younger, TVs weren't always wide. They were
Yes, they were square.
And so they would, when movies would come on TV, they'd cut them into a square, fucking up the movie.
I just used to get enraged at people. Like my buddy's dad once was like, I don't want to watch widescreen. It's a waste of screen because the black bars. You're wasting my TV. And I'm like, you're missing half of what the movie is.
But the perfect example that I could then explain it better, because like people didn't understand. I'm like, I would try to, so you have a rectangle and you have to fit it into a square and you can't get it all in there. But I could use the scene from Daredevil. There is a fight scene between Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck in a playground. And they get on either side of a seesaw and slowly and simultaneously shrug off jackets. However, in the full screen VHS of Daredevil, you can only see Ben Affleck doing it, thereby kind of making the shot pointless.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that was what I could use to easily explain.
Great. I mean,
that was the thing. Other people didn't understand what, like, the full screen, like, did.
Well, you have the opposite problem. Like when Disney Plus put The Simpsons up, they did it in the rectangle and cut off the top and the bottom, and then people were like, The Simpsons has gags in every corner of the frame.
It's one thing when it's like Friends, which is a totally like utilitarian shot show. Like you're not missing anything if Friends is filling your teeth. Just put it in its regular aspect ratio. It's fucking fine. But Friends, you're not missing anything. The Simpsons, you are.
Yes, you're missing jokes. Yeah. And Friends and Seinfeld and those shows, they actually shot a little wider and then cropped them. So you're not like just zooming in. And there is occasionally you'll see like the end of a set or something. Whatever.
Right.
We all know they're on stage.
Right. Let's see. I'm just looking real fast here if there's anything good in the notes section for this episode. This is one of the first episodes which strongly implies that Clark and the character of Superman is not merely a superhuman entity, but a supernatural one as well, as evidenced by his ability to literally change destiny. Wiki? He saved Coach Altman by inadvertently put three other lives in danger. But his next intervention sets destiny back on track with Coach Altman dead and the other three safe. And this is just basic sci-fi concepts here. And sci-fi I'm using liberally.
Concepts also.
We're gonna call that stretch of the episode. Let's see. According to Lana, Julia was in the hospital since junior high school until last month for years. However, the article Clark shows Jordan is an obituary dated the next week after the accident and scheduled her funeral for the next day. Also, the obituary calls her father Principal Altman.
Ooh, so that's some rewrites?
That sounds like some rewrites.
They were like, we can't kill off another principal, or we can't get rid of another principal.
Right. Let's see. In other media here, here's the thing I mentioned before. When Jordan bumps into Clark, the viewer is treated to an image of the classic Superman S symbol on a red cape. And it says in parentheses the same scene that appears on Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman opening. It's not. It's objectively just not. Let's see. Jordan has the power to see the future of people, specifically how they will die. Hereafter is also the name of an episode of Justice League that aired 2 months earlier, which is about Superman's supposed death, where he's actually sent into the future. Well, all right, whatever. I guess that's everything. Anything else we should go over for this week?
I don't think so. No,
I don't think so either.
No.
All right. I guess. Hey, this has been the Talon Mix. We have a website. It's talonmix.show. We're also on Twitter at the Talon Mix pod, the Talon Mix pod. We have a Discord. Come hang out. That's how you can find out all the information on when we'll be live streaming our recordings, and also just making fun of Zach for being an old man.
It's fair.
Zach, do you have a question for the Smallville gods?
Will I outlive Brian?
Almost definitely. Good night, everybody.
Night.